Okay, good afternoon and welcome to Just Daf It, Daf Yomi Shir. We are making up yesterday's Shir. Yesterday was Daf Kuf Gimel, 103. Today we'll be doing Daf Kuf Gimel, hopefully Kuf Dalid. I wanted to have the propitious schus of doing it on Father's Day, even though they don't celebrate Father's Day in Israel, but at the core, I still am American, and I'm a father, so I can celebrate Father's Day even in Israel. That's the best. If you're an American, you're living in Israel, you celebrate two sets of holidays, the American holidays and the Israeli holidays, because I have dual nationality. This is amazing. All right, let's start on the bottom, towards the bottom of Kuf Beis on Beis 102b. It says the two das ban pilya chalisas abzula. We're going to translate on pilia. Article translated a sock. I would more likely translate it as a slipper. I don't think taking off a sock has any significance. If you do on pilia a certain type of slipper, it's psula. The main word on pilia lav minalhu. Does that mean to say that pilia is not considered like a loafer? Which is how loafer, at least with the evid, is okay. It's not nami. Ein la torim nichnas lo pargud. Chafus v'loban pilya v'einsar chlomer minal v'san l'fishein chasam minal v'san l'azara. Right, when the person, the Kohen, who's torim from the new funds every year to bring the karbonos, he goes in to get the money, so he shouldn't have any hems in his pants. He should also not have going with slippers, because he can put the money in his slippers and people are choshed him. So if he goes in with places he can put the money, people are going to think he stole from the lishka, so we don't allow him to do that. Ein sarach lomer, and certainly on minal sandal, we cannot wear shoes in the Azara. It says in the last mission in Brachos, so cannot wear shoes in the Azara and the Beis Hamikdash. So you see what? So you see that it's not called shoes. Only minal and sandal consider shoes. For a minute, we have another brayso. Echad minal ve'echad sandal on pilya l'tayah behem lo mibayis abayis. When we tell him on Yom Kippur, you can't even wear on pilya the slippers. You shouldn't go from house to house. And not even from bed to bed in one room. Or Abaye, because you're not wear shoes on Yom Kippur. So it is considered shoes. Or Abaye, it is big sisi, shum tainik. No, on Yom Kippur, it really is not shoes, like we learn by Trumas Halishka. But the reason that you can't do it is because it has these cushions. It has cushions on the bottom of it, and that makes tainuk. Really, it's not considered a shoe, but Yom Kippur is not really wearing a shoe. It's getting inuk from something on your foot. Pleasure from something on your foot. I'm like Rava Mishum Taino below Minal Yom Kippur Miyasir. Is that really true? To just, if you're not wearing a shoe, just getting your foot getting pleasure would be Aser. But Harava Rav Huna Karach Sudra Akari, who would wrap himself in an ace bandage. The Nafik, that wasn't a shoe. And we go out. So you see, even though he got a benefit from it, it would still be okay. I'm Rava Lokash Kana Pil Shalor Kana Pil Shall beg it. Right? There's different types of slippers. Right? You have I actually have two pairs of slippers. I have like moccasins, one. They're made out of, I guess, polyester, Ralph Lauren. And then I have the Uggs I wear in the winter. So these I the ones of polyester I wear in the summer, because they're a little thinner. And the Uggs have, I don't know if it's wool inside, it's just a very warm interior. So therefore, but it's made out of leather. The ones I wear in the summer are not made out of leather. So those provide protection also from the outside. They're much stronger. Those are considered shoes. The ones that I wear during the summer are not considered shoes. Interesting. Technically, I can wear it on Yom Kippur, according to me. The ones I wear during the summer. Yom Kippur is part of the summer. Where does it make sense? We have a kasha from one halach on Yom Kippur to another halach on Yom Kippur. The sign dekasim so besa. You can't wear kor dekasim. I guess that would be like sandals. I don't know. I have a pair of sandals like that. Not the ones made of leather. But you could wear on pilim so base. So el lashon now kamna pilah shalor. You see halacha by Yom Kippur, you could wear on pilim. Shona kamna pilah shalor, kamna pilah shal beged. If the slipper is made out of leather, then it's also beged. It's mutter shona. Tanik vasi the Rava. Chalza minal nifram shechofes rova regel v'sandal nifcha shemakabel rova regel. We're going to have a brayso like Rava. Let's say you do chalitza with a minal. Again, we said a minal is a loafer type of shoe. It doesn't expose the upper part of the foot. Shel shem, shel siv. These are synthetic materials. Bekava kita. let's go back for a second. It was ripped, right? It was a shoe that was ripped. Part of the top was ripped. It still covers most of the foot. The sandal also had a part that was missing, but it still is able to support most of the foot. He has synthetic shoes. Kavakita is a prosthetic leg. B'mok is a type of moccasin. Again, there's two types of prosthetic legs. There's things that attaches to your leg, and then there's things that are just worn on your leg. And pilya shel or, a leather slipper. V'choletzes min agadol. She takes off a shoe from a gadol, meaning not a katan. You're going to see in comparison to the end of the brayso, so about a katan. Bein omed ben yoshev muta, whether the man is standing when she takes off the shoe, whether he's sitting or whether he's leaning. V'choletzes min asuma. She does chalitza from let's say the person, the Yevamos is a blind person. All these cases, b'diavad, the chalitza is kasha. But if you have a minol, which normally covers the top of it, it doesn't cover most of the foot. Yeah, this is the difference in a minol sandal. As a part of sandal, it's from actually from sundial, right? It exposes the top part of the foot, so therefore it's sort of like, when you wear it with a heel, especially heels, it's like a sundial that it directs the light from the top of the foot, like reflective of the sun. So the minol is talking about whether it's covering most of the foot, because that's what the minol does. It covers the foot. It's like an automatic lock. It's a sandal. It's called nal, right? Nal. It says in Yevamos it says nal. Shoe is also called a nila, lock, because when you wear high heels, you have something that locks it around your foot. Because you need something or you wear sandals, right? You need to lock it around the top of your foot. A minol is automatically like loafers. They don't have laces. They don't have hooks. They don't have anything. That's why it's called sandal and a minol. So the minol is supposed to be covering your entire foot. The sandal is supposed to be wrapped around most of your foot. If it doesn't have makabel over regel, with smichas hayadayim, or something that supports your hands. I don't know. Certain people, I guess, they would crawl, and they would need to wear gloves or something like that. But on pilya shel beged, that's made for your hands, not your feet. On pilya shel beged, or if you have slippers made out of polyester, the person who does chalitza yavam is a katan. Chalitza psula, they're all possible. Kavakita, mani remeiri. So this brayso includes kavakita, meaning prosthetic legs, and we said that's shera. So mani, who is the author of this brayso? Must be remeiri, the son. Hakita yosef b'kav shel remeiri yosef omer Rabbi Yossi oser. On Shabbos, right, a person with an amputated leg is allowed to go out with a prosthetic leg. Because it's considered part of his foot. It's a shoe. It's considered a shoe. You're allowed to go out in shoes on Shabbos. It's not hotzah. Real says it's not attached. It's not considered a shoe, and therefore yasers. So we see the ratio of our brayso is talking about according to Rameir, but on pilya shel beged, asan rabbanan. But we said the brayso continues, and it says that if you have a slipper made out of polyester, so then it's also good. Asan rabbanan. Rameir doesn't agree with that. I'm rabbayim. The sefer rabbanan ratio nam rabbanan. Abayi tries to answer. He says, the end of the brayso must be the rabbanan. So the beginning is also rabbanan. Reisha mechupa or. The reason that the kavakita can go out with prosthetic leg is because it's covered in leather. It's covered in leather. It's not just made out of metal or wood, but it's covered in leather. It looks like a shoe. Even the rabbanan would agree it's a shoe. Even if Yossi would agree it's a shoe, you can go out with it on your Shabbos. Amalei Rava aval in mechupa or mai. So what are you going to say? If it's not covered with leather, then it's a puzzle. You can't do chalitza. The hagadani b'seifa and pilya shel beged. And why instead of the seifa saying on pilya shel beged, the polyester slipper, it's not good. Lift up it should instead make a difference as follows. Or when it's prosthetic good, like okay, do chalitza with when it's covered in leather. Or puzzle, it's not covered in leather. It's puzzle. I'm a Rava. I'm the Reisha. I may or seifa and I'm Rava says the opposite. From Reisha, from prosthetic leg, we see this right mayor, so the safe is also right mayor. And what's the difference? High magin and high low magin. Right? Even though Rameir says in other places that it wouldn't be considered here, here when it comes to anpilia, that it's okay. here it's okay because it protects you. Even though Rameir in other places would say it's not considered a shoe, here it is considered a shoe. Rameir would say a slipper of polyester is, because it does protect you, right? Even my loafer slippers that I wear in the summer, they protect you. I mean, they're a full shoe. Amar Rameir, Haimad the Chalitz, Sarach Lemit Lakare. So it's Chalitza, he has to stick his foot to the floor. Amar le Ravashi, La Meimar, Vahatani Ben Omi Yoshev Muta. Shignu Chalitza, whether he's standing or sitting or leaning. So if he's leaning, he's not putting his whole foot directly on the floor. Emo Olam the Dak is a Kare. So say that the brisa means even if you're leaning, you have to make sure that your entire foot is leaning on the floor. A man who walks, some people have deformity in their foot that they walk only on the front part of their foot and are not able to lean weight on their heel. They walk from the front of their foot. That you can't do chalitz with that person. Smuchas haraglayim are things which help lean the foot, and presumably it's talking about this case where somebody, they lean all their weight on the front of the foot, not on the back of it. Lav the chalitz ba'yu. Isn't it that a shoe that he's using, and you see that you don't have to lean your entire weight. The person, the Yavam, doesn't have to lean his entire weight on his heel. Lo the yav leila acher the chalitz. Smuchas haraglayim, he gives it to someone else, and he does chalitza, and that man doesn't need a smuchas haraglayim. Ravashi l'mayde kamar amim or lav bar uba chalitz or lav bar koifa chalitz. These are people in Moed Katan, because of a curse, they had deformities in their legs, so therefore, since their weight of their foot leans on the front of their foot, on the back of their foot, therefore it didn't valid chalitza. Min arkuva lamata, I guess I wouldn't need chalitza. Min arkuva lamata. So we said if the shoe goes up, past the actual foot, but it ends before the knee, or up until the knee, but not past the knee, then it's okay. If there are boots, big high boots that go above the knee, then it's a problem. The minor probably kabin. The Brisa says, I think this is Regalim is talking about Aliyah Laregel, Masach Sagiga, Bala Kabin, people with prosthetic legs, right? And that prosthetic leg usually goes above the knee. And still, by Regalim, when it says Bali Kabin, Regalim, when it comes to Aliyah Laregel, you're not chayav in regel and going to aliyah regel and Masach Sagiga if you have a prosthetic leg. And that prosthetic leg, even if it goes a little bit above your ankle, even if it doesn't go all the way above your knee, it's not called part of the regel. Regel means the bottom of your foot, not the place where your tibia is, not between your ankle and your knee. Or it says shiny hacha dechsiv me'al raglo. It says from on top of his regel. So even the part on top of his regel is considered part of foot. Yihachal ma'ala min arkuva nami. Let's say the boot, this heel boot goes above the knee also. Ma'al v'lo ma'al da ma'al. It can't be really above. A little bit above the foot, not completely above. But Amar Rav Papa Shaminah Istavira Ad Ara Nachis. These are Gedaik the Mifsach Pasik. Trying to figure out Istavira. You have two parts in your heel. You have the actual heel, and you have the ankle. So Istavira, we're not sure. The Gemara, you have your Achilles tendon over there. So the Gemara is not sure whether the ankle is considered really attached to the heel. So we must see that the Istavira, that the ankle actually goes to the bottom of your foot, to the heel of your foot. You would say that it's not considered one. So the foot is al v'shoka ma'al da ma'al, and then the ankle will be ma'al da ma'al, and therefore if it's between the ankle and the knee, it should be possible. Marvash, if you look at a pasuk called a hadikar mikikar adam, even maybe in anatomical terms, it's something else. Anything that goes along with the foot, when you move that part of the foot, it goes along with it. So therefore, even though maybe it's biologically considered something else, right, the heel and the ankle, but it's considered a foot lagabe the Torah. Min arkua lamala. Meisir Rav Kana shiyatze yos min raglea. So we're saying that the foot is not, the thigh is not considered the foot. So we're going to bring a couple of questions to this. It says shiyatze yos min raglea. Right, it says in the Torah that a child comes out min raglea, right, out of the woman. It comes out of a vagina. I mean, that's where it comes out of. So that's the top of her thighs. That calls it raglayim. When a woman is about to give birth, now with a midwife, I guess you would stick her heels into her thighs via leather. That's why I mentioned her thighs, but it's not really her thighs. Tashma, because she sticks her heels. Tashma lo asa raglav lo asa sfamo. So in Boshes, he didn't make his raglav, he didn't cut off the pubic hairs. Lo asa sfamo, he didn't cut off his mustache. So you see raglav refers to pubic hairs. Ragel is even the thigh. Lemar said lishna ma'alya. It really shouldn't use the word regel. It's a euphemism, right? It was a clean way of saying it, but it really doesn't mean the regel. Tashma yava shal asakas raglav. Shal went to urinate. Lishna ma'alya, urinate from the top of your thighs. Where it says lishna ma'alya, it shouldn't use the word regel. It's a euphemism. Tashma achmasichu baragla b'cheder makira. He's urinating in the cooling room. Lishna ma'alya, again. Ben raglea, lishna ma'alya, ben raglea. This time Yoel was Sisera. She had sex with him 7 times. Raglea refers to the place of sex, the vagina. So lishna ma'alya, the Gemara says, it's just a euphemism. It's a nice way of saying it, but it doesn't really mean regel. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Hashem vilos balos harashu oz hayom Sisera and Yoel were together 7 times a day before she killed him. Shnemar ben raglea kara nafal shachav ben raglea kara nafal v'sher kara sham nafal shadud. All right, every time it says the word kara or nafal or shachav, that includes a bia, right? How come is Hanya Mavera? How could she do this? How could she, right? She was married, she was an Ashes Ish. How could she commit adultery over here? For the sake of saving Klal Yisrael, but how should I argue about Yavar? I'm Yochanan, she didn't really get benefit from all the Tavas and Shorashayim, all the things that are pleasurable for the Shayim. Raya Yital Sadikim. It's bad for tzaddikim. They don't get pleasure. Shnemar Hishamar L'cha Pein Daber Yaakov Mitov Ad Ra. Hashem says to Lavan, don't speak to Yaakov good or bad. Bishlam Ra L'chaye. Hashem didn't want to speak bad to him. El Tova Milo. Why can't he speak good things to him? Tell how nice his grandkids are. El Shramina Tavas Shorashayim Raya tzaddikim. Even you say nice things to a Russia, say nice things to a tzaddik, it's bad in the tzaddik tzaddik. Bishlam Hasam Dilma Mikra Le Shma Devaz. Why does Hashem want him not to say even Tova? I'm sorry. Why not? You want to say Ra? He didn't want Esau to say Lavan to say Ra to Yaakov. Maybe he's going to mention Avodah Zarah. He's going to ruin his kids. He's going to put him off the derech. Elahacha my Ra ika ika. Here, what's the Ra? Right? She had sex with him. How bad could it be? The kashadi bazuama. Remember, it says no that when a guy is born Bas Yisrael, he puts a certain impurity into it. When the Nachash, the snake, was together with Chava on the Marisha, Hitel Ba'azuma, the Nachash put impurity into Chava. Yisrael Shamdal Harsina Paskas Umasan, Lichamish Lamdar Harsina Paskas Umasan. Kalisha was fixed at Harsina, but Goyim were never fixed. So therefore they have Zuma when they're together with you. So therefore, I don't know, maybe it means STD. Sexually transmitted diseases, I don't know. Okay. Let's go on. The Mishnah says that if she does chalitza with something that doesn't belong to him, it's okay. It says in the pasuk nalo, his shoe. Nalo. It sounds like it has to belong to him. Nal shall call the minai. How do you know anyone else's shoe is okay also? Talmud lower nal riba. The next pasuk says beitz chalas hanal. Nal is coming to include any shoe. Why does it say nalo? Nalo haroilo. It has to actually fit him precisely, right? If it's too big, you can't walk in it, or katan, or it's too small, it doesn't cover most of his leg. Also, it refers to heels that don't have an actual heel, right? Sandals is a shoe that's uncovered on the top. It doesn't have heels. That's not a real heel. Abai was standing from Rav Yosef. Yevamos came. She wanted to have chalitza done to her. He was going to be the officiating rabbi. So Yosef said, Abai, give this man your sandal, your shoe. Yavle sandal is small. They gave him his left shoe. Even though the Mishnah says you can, if she takes off a left shoe from his right foot, that's good with the evet. You're not supposed to do it. Why are you telling me to give him my shoe? Right? That's also with the evet. Right, like the Mishnah says, only with the evidence, he's supposed to use his own shoe. I didn't mean to say just give it to him and not be kohen, makne it, and give it to him and be makne. I thought you knew the halacha in the Mishnah. It's supposed to be shalom. L'chadchila is supposed to be shalom, so you just give makne it to him. We'll learn more about this in Yom Ben Sion. San l'shal eitz, a wooden shoe. Mantan, Amar Shmuel, Remeir, Sana Kida Yosef Kav Shalom. Prosthetic leg made out of wood is considered his foot. Divrei Meir go in the Shabbat. Yossi Omer Avu, the Shmuel Omer Mechuba Shalom. Divrei Akol Yossi Avu, the Shmuel says no. Even Rabbi Yossi would agree in our Mishnah. We're talking about where it's covered in leather. I said before, Rabbi Yossi would agree to that. Amar Papi, Mishmei the Rabba Sanlam Muskar Lo Tachlis Bo. Sandal Muskar, as we mentioned many times. There's two types of saras. There's saras, which is or a preliminary saras. We're not sure if it's actually going to be for sure saras. It has some of the simanim saras, but not all of them. Then you close them off. You put the person or the beged or the house in lockdown, and then you come back and say anything and check. If you have all the simanim, then it comes a mukhla. It's decided that it's tamei, and then you have to destroy it. So sandal hamuskar, sandal, right? Clothes, a person, clothes, and a house all can get saras. So the shoe, the sandal heel has muskar, has saras, not definitively. Lo tachlis bo. Not supposed to do that with chalitza. Michalza chalitza like shera. But the it's okay. It's not a muchlat, but if it for sure has saras on it, lo tachlis bo, the michalza chalitza psula. But the it's puzzle. The reason being because you have to burn it. Any clothes you have to burn that have badai saras. So therefore, it's ketute michta shela glinam sechas sukkah, right? A lulav, shalavodah zara or shalashera, it loses. It has to have a shear, and this is not a shoe. You shouldn't use it. But the evidence kosher. A question. A muskar, a suffix tame house, is metame only if things go inside. A mukhlat is metame whatever is inside, and in back of it. And both of them, if you go into them, right, you can become dummy. If you say a house that's a mukhlat is like it's already burnt up, how could you say someone who goes into the house comes dummy? He's not going into a house, he's going to ashes. Remember, it says shining hustle, and he does this a bias. If you he's a karu bias, says destroy the house. So it's talking about even when the house is destroyed, it's still called a house. You see that even though mita k'dudei shiura, still it's called a house, and you went into the house, you're tummy. Tashma, ma'ad sheish bo shalosh al shalosh. Let's say you have a cloth that has 3 etzbos by 3 etzbos. Avol is necessary for makabel tuma. Avol be she'ein bo kizayis. Even though it's in a shear of a kizayis, which is the shear of tuma for tummy meis, kemesh jichas rubel the base bayis tor timaso. Once most of this cloth goes into a house, it makes the house tummy. My love muchlata. Aren't we talking about a cloth that's muchlat? Lo muskeret. We're talking about a suffix, whether it's saras. Ihaki ema seifa. Say the end of the brayis. Ayuba kama kizesim. If the cloth had many kizesim, kemesh jichas mena kizayis labayis. If a kazais, even not the whole beged or not the whole cloth, a part of it went into a tor house. Timaso made the house tummy. Yamar b'shlam muchleta. So you say it's muchla for sure. It's saras. How the iskish the mace? That's why it specifies the kazayis, because it's tumas mace, just like it's tumas saras. It's hukash tumas mace. Otherwise, musgaris and my iskish the mace. Musgaris tumas hesker is only a suffix. It was never hukash to a mace. So why is the kazayis important? Mara says, "Shiny husband, I'm a krav. Sarah is a beged. I feel b'shas reifa kari beged." Even though you're right, it's kedusha mechta shir, but still, when you burn a beged that has saras, it's still called a beged. And the same thing over here. So the same thing should apply by shir. The Mara says, "V'ligmar minei." So why don't we learn over here also that by chalitza, that even when it's only the sreifa, it's still considered a shoe. The Mara says, "Isra with tuma lo gamrin." You can't learn out isra chalitza is isra v'heter. Tuma there, even though it's muftas cottage shiura, it's supposed to be burned. It's still called a house, or it's still called a beged. Here it's not. Lo tachlos. All these things, they translate the article as it was worn by something worshipped. You have a statue that was worshipped, and it wore shoes. Lo tachlos. But the evidence kosher. If you give over shoes, you're mocker of these shoes to over kachavim, you put them in front of the statue of Buddha. I don't know if Buddha is there, Bozara. Where's that statue of Buddha? There's one in this big statue of Buddha, one of the biggest statues in the world. In Myanmar? I'm not sure where it is. to look that up. Or is it Mongolia? I'm not sure. Shalakros was Kavim, maybe Nepal. Vishel Irani Dachas, top of Kuf Dalim Al. Vishel Irani Dachas, Vishel Zakan Asr Lefodo. Irani Dachas is a city that ruled where the people did Avodah Zarah, so it has to be killed. Everyone has to be killed and burnt, all the stuff burned. Vishel Zakan Asr Lefodo, a shoe that's made to bury a person, and right, lo tachlots, you shouldn't use duchalis. Those are b'diavad, it's possible. Amalei Ravina l'Ravashi ma'ishna zakin ha'asri l'chvodo. What's the reason that if it's made for a dead person, burial shul, but the reason it's not good is because it wasn't made to walk in. It was just made honorary for the person to be covered in when he's buried. The Beidina Nami, right? Most Batei Dinim have their own chalitza shoe that they just keep with them to do chalitza with. It's never meant to be worn by people. The judge, if the shliach of Beis Din, who is in charge of getting the people to come to Beis Din, he would wear it. He wouldn't be mocked, but he would let him wear it. So even though technically it's not made for wearing, but if it's worn, no one would care if it's worn. So it does serve the function of walking with it. It could be called a shoe. Otherwise, if it's made just to be buried, then it's not called a shoe, and it'll be possible even with Yevit. It's the conclusion of today's shir. Stay tuned for another shir today. We're doing shir Kuf Dalet coming up right now.